About podcast, brought to you, of course, by our great friends at LRF Sports. Hit them up for all your apparel sporting goods across the Australasian network. More importantly, ladies and gents, what a weekend it was. Shane, Nico, welcome. Nick, let's bring you in first, mate. It has been a roller coaster for yourself over the last 3 weeks. Your boys, of course, getting it done on the big stage. Welcome to you.
Hello, Nathan. Hello, Shane. Hello to all of our viewers, listeners, right across the country. What a pleasant weekend of sport it was. And what a great night tonight's going to be, reflecting back on what's been a marvellous season 2 of Up and About. The Melbourne Storm, the premiers, the Richmond Tigers, the premiers, the Melbourne Vixers, the premiers. Dan Andrews opened up Victoria. Shane, have you done anything as good as that?
I have done a lot of great things in my time, but nothing quite like what the Victorians have done in the past couple of days. I was talking to the great friend of the show, Christopher Payne, throughout the day, the big Payne train, and he's getting carried away. He's realised the pubs are open, the beer is cold, the kegs are being washed out for the first time in decades, and there are no RBTs on the road. So everyone's having a very, very good time down there in a great state.
Is that something the Big Dan's brought into play? Because he's a little bit behind in the votes, I reckon. If he just opened it up, said, all right, he's got 48 hours, have at it, surely.
Yeah, absolutely. I think they're all still monitoring the steel ring. So as long as you're far enough either side of that, then it's launch time. So I'm sure the Melbourne Storm boys are down there celebrating, and really what a great weekend. And unfortunately, that's done and dusted. We're now into the summer of cricket and a little bit of horse racing and humidity. So bring it on.
I think the steel ring's staying intact for the Greater Melton and Tarneet region. I think they're going to keep that as a permanent fixture down there for a number of reasons. So maybe the government's looking at making some positive inroads towards the Greater Melbourne region.
Your food drop there, Nico?
I'll just drop a little bit here and there. It is coming up to Christmas season, so obviously there'll be a lot of people gathering baskets. What do they do? You know, the Smith Family Appeal, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, the family basket full of spam and all the good stuff.
Just drop it near the ring.
Well, they do some great stuff, and the Smith family. But let's get straight into it, gents. What an absolute cracker, the AFL Grand Final. Richmond, of course, getting it done. I think for all our, earlier fans, we touched on it pre-season, didn't we? I think in the first show, the question was put forward, can anyone beat Richmond? It split you boys 50-50, but of course they got it done. So, mate, where to begin? Nico, I really enjoyed this game. I thought Geelong had it sewn up at halftime. I was very excited for Little Master, but Richmond just too good. And let me rephrase it very quickly. Dustin Martin, it seems, just too good.
Well, I attended live on behalf of the Up and About podcast.
Oh, you did? I
got to sit in the area where all of the COVID safe people sat, which was quite enjoyable. Look, I thought the game itself was a fantastic game. Imagine how much better it would have been played at the MCG in front of 100,000 people at a 2:30 bounce. Would have been absolutely magnificent. But go back to when we were saying, can Richmond go all the way? And people wrote them off, and we wrote off a Gabba Grand Final. So I think there needs to be a couple of apologies tonight. And I have tried to get hold of the Gabba Trust to formally apologise to the people of Australia for the disgraceful spectacle that was put on Saturday night. But we've had no one return my calls. So the game stood, and I guess 1991 Waverley and 2020 the Gabba in my lifetime will be the two grand finals that will have an asterisk beside them for not having that fullness of the MCG. Shane, you would have been close by, Shane. You attended the game?
Absolutely not. No. I was a bit shy of the rain in the afternoon, but how impressive. I just thought that despite the weather, despite the fact there was a bit of humidity around, they made it look like the two best teams were there. They did their best to make it an incredible spectacle, full of class and dry hands, and the cream certainly rose to the top. You would obviously think about the Dusty influence across the game, 4 goals, 21 touches. But just that poignant moment before half-time where I reckon little Brian Myers might have been a little bit getting a little bit carried away, perhaps. He's done it all year. He's hit the goals. But this time it went down the other end, and I think the momentum shift happened just before half time, and the game was done and dusted after Dusty snapped it around the bend. So what an awesome performance. What an awesome team. Can't say once in a generation because we've had Hawthorn and we've had Geelong in recent times, the little dynasties, but yeah, they look like they're ready to go on. And talking about Jesse Hogan coming into that side, so I don't think so. But anyway, what a game! Yep, the pre-game performance, Nico. What did you think about the entertainment? How was it? The acoustics great.
Oh, look, it did, and I've done a couple of AFL grand finals in the homeland. So just cast the Queensland Gabba situation to be serious if I can. Apologies to our listeners for me being serious for the first time in 20 weeks. It did feel different to a normal game. It didn't feel like a grand final. It felt different. I did have a struggle for my first beer. The keg actually had some issues. It was Carlton Draft on tap at the Gabba, which was magnificent. But it just didn't, there was something missing. But there was, I believe that from TV, the television audience, which was absolutely enormous, the view of the lighting and that was fantastic. Halftime was brilliant. Halftime was outstanding. I did say I was looking forward to Shepherd pre-game. That was the halftime entertainment. Awesome. Fantastic. It really it matched Dusty's goal just on halftime. That gave Richmond that little bit of hope, bit of upbeat music, because the pre-game was like a funeral. The songs were just so Nathan, there was a couple of good covers thrown in there, a bit of In Excess, and there was a Paul Kelly, Powderfinger as well. But old mate from Wolf Mother was very good. Andrew Stockdale, he was very good. But yeah, I'm not going to kick the Gabba in the guts because the Queensland government's kept Australian sport running. But yeah,
what did old mate Andrew play? Was it just blatantly Wolf Mother songs? It must have been.
Joker in the Thief, baby.
They played one song. So everyone just played one song, which was one song too many for a couple of the acts. But that's okay. And I know that the easy thing to do, and as Australians we do it quite often, is to kick our own. But let's hope that next year 100,000 people at the MCG, a big international act, get Delta back, get Jimmy Barnes back, get John Farnham back, like the true Australian artists. I don't know. The game was brilliant though. I think you can park the entertainment to talk about the actual game itself. The game itself was outstanding. Storylines everywhere. Just how many superlatives can you have for the great man Dusty? He's just a freak. But I did say this at the ground, not audibly, but it is lucky that the boy can play footy because he doesn't offer much else. I don't think. He can't hold a conversation. He's a bit of a grunter, isn't he? He doesn't. You could see what he was trying to say, and when he was giving his norms to, we're not on air next week, are we?
No, not this stage.
No. So when he was giving his speech, you could see what he was trying to say, but it's like his brain's too fast for the words coming out. It was just incredibly. Yeah, he's got better over the years, but the bloke's 28, 29 years of age, and he still speaks like a nervous Year 9 kid speaking in front of a girl.
Fucking hell. I don't know how to follow that up, but look, it was an absolute class. And Nick, I've been involved in just a handful of games with yourself, I'd say, but I learned a lot from you. But the premiership quarter, mate, the third quarter, it's on the line. As you said, Dusty's kicked a pretty critical goal in the back end, and Richmond just come out and stormed over the top of them, really. So it was unbelievable to witness. I was in Evans Head. And I want to thank the one pub for having it on the beer garden on the large screen there. But my favourite two goals of Dusty's were the one you spoke about before, and then also where he's just kind of floated across and had the handball intercept, shrugged Dangerfield off, and that's no mean feat, and then threw it on the right from the boundary line like it was nothing. That's the most ridiculous play I've seen in a very long time. So a lot to like. Ablett playing with turns out a broken shoulder. That's another one of the storylines. What an absolute legend. I thought he might have dislocated it from how he fell and everything because I'm a doctor. But obviously a couple of shots and straight out there. Shane, mate, where were you in the midst of this. And I guess what were your highlights?
I was in a residential setting in a house. I decided to go there early in the afternoon because the great event that I love to attend down there at Moonee Valley, the Cox Plate, was on. So it was a large afternoon, a large morning into afternoon. But highlights, absolutely, the Dustman. He was awesome. I think the first 2 or 3 minutes where Ablett went down there within 15 seconds of the ricochet where Boston got sent into next week. So it was just such a fantastic, despite the injuries, but a fantastic introduction to the physicality, the ferocious physicality that these guys going up week after week. But just when it's tuned up for the big day. So yeah, don't forget about that. So they'll both one down. Ablett was your Norm Smith tip there was gone within 2.5 minutes. He just wasn't going to perform throughout the night. Came on a couple of kind of performances, but when the game was at 1, he shouldn't have been on the ground. They had to make a call. Prescott had to be courageous and say, "You are giving us 0, so get off." Fierce, but whatever. Anyway, but yeah, highlights galore. Dusty shone high, and just a couple of those bounces. The goals they kicked out of the 4, a couple of those bounces, they're not lucky. They were awesome. So anyway, on to next year.
I'll say he's not. I agree with what you're saying there. People say they're lucky. He does it. And I watched him live against the Saints, as you did, Shane.
Yep.
2 weeks prior, he deliberately kicks the ball in ways that no one else does. He's a freak. He's a freak, Dusty. So I hope he plays football for another 30 years for a number of reasons.
What do you make of a lot's already been said about it? Dangerfield and how Geelong played him. Nick, what are your thoughts with that, mate? There's a little bit to unpack. We won't spend too much time on it. I want to get on to your boys on the other side of the field.
Why wasn't he in the middle of the ground when the game was there to be won? That's what I would ask Chris Scott. But Chris Scott is very defensive. Whenever you pose questions like that, he says things like, "Oh, hindsight's a wonderful thing," and he is your best bullocking, inside midfielder. Get him in the middle and get him to get the football down deep to your forwards. You've got Tom Hawkins, you've got the Coleman medalist, you got the most powerful key forward in the game in this 2020 year, and yet for a good 10 minutes there in the third quarter, and I was right behind it. Paddy Dangerfield was in the goal square as the deepest forward. It confused me. I think he was underused, and it's something that Chris Scott's going to have to live with, like his career of sniping and giving blokes handballs under the pump to try and rack his stats up, which is a couple of things I've called out in the past at the ground. But we're all good opinions. We're all entitled to them.
So Chris Scott getting it wrong with Dangerfield, just out and out. Well, didn't read the game.
Yeah, wrong with that, and what Shane said as well. Like Gary Ablett, a legend. We won't see anyone put a body of work that he has put together ever again, even though Dusty's on the way and whatnot. He is just an all-time great and a freak. But history will show he's brittle. Anytime there's a niggle or something, it's great that he came back on the ground, but he came back on the ground and did nothing. So I think that when he went down, it was sad. Absolutely. We said that's the last time we're going to see Gary. It was a standing ovation from the Richmond supporters as well. As Gary came off, then he reappeared. There was a massive roar, and he came back on the ground and didn't contribute. And Chris Scott had to put the team ahead of a grade of the game. I don't think he did. And I think it didn't ultimately cost Geelong because Richmond just murdered them in the second half. But it's got to be something that I'll be playing that in my mind. I would be doing that.
Final run tribute matches.
Correct.
He shouldn't have come on. I don't know what his possession count at the end of it, and there might have been that little bit of a spark by him coming out of the race, but that should have been it.
He had that one. Hang on, he had that one handball, the old quick one with a busted shoulder, straight out to Selwood, I think it was, that teed up the goal. That was, I mean, if you're going to get one goal out of him for the rest of the game, is that?
Well, as a permanent forward.
Well, I thought he went all right.
Maybe, that's something you'd expect if you're a Cam Rayner or a Daniel McStay, but a Gary Ablett, who you want to perform across a lot of other areas of the ground,
Can I throw something at you? Why wasn't so the aura? He's going to attract someone of quality. Why did Gary go deep forward? Like that's just that's something that I did pose that to a couple of people sitting around me. I was with some Richmond people, and they were wrapped with Chris Scott's coaching. That's just the blatancy of it. But the dynasty, Damien Hardwick. There's a great video going around, and I got a hold of it last year of Brendan Gale on Footy Classified declaring the target 75,000 and 3 premierships by 2020. They smashed the membership and they got the 3 flags, 4 grand finals. Wow, that is just unbelievable. You got to tip your hat to them. What an organisation. And they had some adversity this year. They had some players who stuffed up. They weren't the clean skins that people have loved. And there was a fair bit of booing towards Tom Lynch and that sort of thing. I think, it was great drama. 1-1 Tigers, 3 out of 4 or 2 out of 3, whichever way you want to look at it. But I'll throw a weird one at you here, boys. There's all this talk about what's been the best team of the modern era. I will still say that the Brisbane Lions 01, 02, 03 and the 04 loss is the best side. If you put that side against any of the teams that play, so your Geelongs, your Hawthorns, the Richmonds, that Brisbane team wins. Yeah, comfortably. Comfortably.
Just compare the spines, Nick. I think if you compare the spines of that side versus any other contender during that era, yes, there's been some great spines, the centre half forward, full forward, centre, halfback and fullback. But that Lions squad with the big 4, with the Brownlow medalists, with the sharing they did amongst that group, hefty resumes.
Yeah, right. Well, let's move it on, gents. So well done, Dusty. Well done, Richmond Tigers. But Nicky J, your boys, a Melbourne Storm. What an absolute, wow, what a finish. What a game. Cameron Smith, the Pap. A lot going on. Shana, we missed out, of course. There was a bit of chat behind the scenes there. But Nick, why don't you lead this one off, mate? Your boys just too good in the end.
And wasn't it outstanding? Isn't it so funny how salty? I mean, the Channel 9 commentary team are the most disgraceful pack of middle-aged, borderline senile individuals you'll ever encounter. The blokes who are younger, so the late 40s to the 50s, are immature and unintelligent in the Johns and the Fittler. It is just embarrassing. So that's just my prelude to say we should have been celebrating one of the greatest rugby league teams of all time. Now, Cameron Smith out and out superstar, but Craig Bellamy is the coach in the top 3 coaches, just to be safe, of all time. This is a football club that have bounced back from serious hardship in terms of a few mistakes that were made. But that was the 10th grand final in 21 years. 10 grand finals in 21 years in an age where you can go and get whoever you want, whenever you want. There's no free agency. There's no draft. It is an unbelievable achievement. And that was not discussed once in the commentary. At the 62-minute mark of the game, they were flogging who was going to be playing Origin next week. This is a grand final. Completely missed the mark. And I'm not alone in saying that. That's where I wanted to start with talking about the grand final. But no, I thought that, Penrith were the side that only lost 1 game all year, probably started to fall out of form towards the back end of the season. I think they only played 1 team in the top 8 in the month leading in, and their finals form certainly wasn't convincing. Melbourne were never going to lose that, even though I was still very edgy, that last play situation. But Shane, give me something here, Mum.
It's interesting. Yeah, I've heard James Hooper, that nude nut from Fox Sports, who's obviously got some sort of pent-up issue with the Melbourne Storm. It's the most polarising team in Australian sport, he says. It's like, are our poppies that tall that we just try and knock this team down for? When we talk about dynasties, we're talking about 3 or 4 year stints in AFL. These guys have done it for 2 decades. And the way they regenerate on the fly, yes, they don't have a draft. That's fine. They've got a salary cap, which they've obviously ignored for a couple of years there. But overall, they have attracted some players who were nobodies and are now state of origin representatives for their nation. There's something in the water down there. And look, the Bellamy thing, I know they are going to have to look at that transition, but I don't think we'll see anyone like him for a long, long time. He's not a Wayne Bennett. He's
He's a better coach than Wayne Bennett.
Absolutely.
That's the reality.
Yep.
That's the reality. The Wayne Bennett thing's it's all built on myth and legend. The Wayne Bennett thing. Craig Bellamy is, and some people don't like the way he goes off in the coach's box. That's raw. That's a bit of community footy at the highest level. But in saying that, NRL is community sport. It's not a professional sport. I don't care what anyone says. You don't pluck a bloke off the job site and then throw him into he was bricklaying last week. That's not a professional sport. They don't prepare professionally. And probably out of all of our top line sports in the country, it's probably the worst officiated, adjudicated, commentated, administrated sport that we have. It's horrendous. And the reason why everyone gets upset is because a little old team in Victoria are just sticking it right up them. And the fact that Cameron Smith, the Queensland legend, the Queensland captain, got the jersey, pumped it forward at the big V and said, for all the people in Victoria, this is for you, that would have just made them even squirm more, because it's the most Sydney-centric rubbish of all time. And I haven't even mentioned Gus Gould yet. What a pathetic individual. He's just...
Do they pay him?
There, Nico. Can I pose a question?
He shouldn't get paid.
Sorry.
Please.
Yep, barn dog. So the celebrations, this is such an American thing. The celebrations in the sheds afterwards, obviously in America, they're getting the verve or whatever, and in the New South Wales Sydney change rooms there, they got the yellow blend there, the yellow, the pink, the other varieties. But the adornment of goggles so that your vision isn't affected getting hit in the eye by carbonated Australian sparkling, is that something which we should embrace, or is that something which should stay in America and never come back, and we just get a little bit of squirt in the eyes and we deal with it?
There's a lot to unpack there, mate. Culture, I don't know if that was a loaded question, but culture-wise, I'm I've always said that Australia is probably about 17 and a half years behind America, pushed to 18 maybe. So I think that's just a natural kind of thing. We lean heavily into their culture. Sneaker shoes is a great example of that. Shout out to Jake. But I'm not a big fan. As far as the whole protecting the eyes thing, does it come into liability? Is that what's happening here?
No, it was a wank. It was an absolute wank, is what it was. Anyone under the age of 25 has an obsession with American sport, because anyone under the age of 25 has got too much time on their hands. It's too difficult to purchase a home. So just get a sports bet account, load up on American sports.
Same game multis, baby.
That's what happens. That's what happens. Can I see the quick? I haven't done many shout outs at all this year. I want to give a quick shout out to a young fella who barracked for the Brisbane Lions his whole life, but then jumped on a bandwagon in most recent times. Josh Menz, who jumped on the Richmond bandwagon just a couple of years ago. He's got some struggles in life, but big shout out to Josh. Well done, mate. You changed just at the right time, so well done to Joshy.
Shout out to Menzo. But look, I think in the fairness of context, me and Shane missed out on a little cheeky multi-bet there. So well done to the Pap. You cost us some cash, brother, but you played extremely well. We said off show, though, he played well. Smith orchestrated as Smith does. I think if the Pap doesn't either, have that freakish jumping out and tapping back in the penalty kick, or the set play just a little bit lazy from Penrith, but the Pap straight through and you ain't going to catch him. If one of those two plays don't come off, well, Shane and I, mate, that's the night in the town probably this weekend. But look,
it's a rugby league thing to do, though, isn't it? Like, as far as they pick moments, and I think unfortunately the AFL world's getting a little bit like that. Like, when have we in grand finals gone by, we're pumping up the two teams, and this grand final was a lot more of a focus on individuals, and rugby league's very big on focusing on the individual. Don't like it creeping into our game, but it is. But Pappenhausen played well. Was he the best on the ground? Probably not. For me, Big Nelson was comfortably the Storm's best player. With Cameron there, probably Cameron was, but because you just expect it, you underrate it, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, well, let's Shano. Let's bring it into the trivia. You want to introduce our friends down at Hallowed
Ground?
That's the one.
I'd love to. I'd love
All of
I thought
Speaking of the Hello, we're talking about the Gabba and Stadium Australia, so you should know all about Hello Grounds.
Mate,
Anyway.
I thought I'd just do the first half and you just jump in there.
Yeah, oh, sorry. Come on. Yeah.
That's my fault.
You told me about that before the show. I should have been aware. So, Hello Grounds Espresso for all of your caffeinated requirements on the south side. Get there, enjoy it. Don't ask for the extra cream. You don't need it. It'll make you thirsty. All right. Now, this is going to be a review of where we've been in the real sport, the real football code, AFL. I'm going to be asking 5 questions around what we have just experienced across the past several months. With all that adversity, but we've got there. Congratulations to Gil and team. So
You're not going to review Josh Brown's performance on this podcast when I was absent.
It's going to be a highlight show, just a brownie, and that will be scattered across our summer series.
Love it.
Wow.
All right. So, Nico, your favourite football team is your buzzer.
Favorite football team is my buzzer. Okay, we're headed into Melbourne Victory. You said football, the world game. Huh?
Oh, of course, yeah.
Hola.
Muskie. All right, you can be Victory. Barndog, what have you got?
Go Suns.
Suns. Oh, the Suns. That might be a little bit apt. Okay, so there's going to be 5 questions tonight.
Love it.
And so we all know who the highest disposal getter.
Shane, you can't see. We got some of our loyal viewers commenting on our feed at the moment, and our one time guest host Josh is just throwing a couple of comments in regarding upsetting a couple of our viewers. So go on you, Josh. Good to see you've got nothing else to do on a Wednesday night than listen to this stuff. Go on you, Josh.
All right. So, question number 1.
Go.
The second highest Lions disposal getter in 2020.
Victory.
Nick.
Hugh McCluggage.
Incorrect. Suns.
Oh, Nathan.
Zorko.
Both incorrect.
Yeah.
You shut him down in flames there, Victory boy. It was Jared Lyons.
Oh, yeah. Fair enough.
Yep, so
You mentioned him last week, the other week too, Nico.
Yeah, did. He walked into Brisbane. He walked up the M1 after Stuart Jude.
I believe in the Suns. Yeah. So
maybe he didn't like some of the coaching department appointments. And he decided to walk. Wouldn't blame him.
All right. Now, question number 2. Which team kicked the highest score for the year?
Oh. Suns.
Nathan.
West Coast Eagles.
That is incorrect.
Oh.
Nick.
For the victory, it wasn't Adelaide, it wasn't Brisbane, it wasn't Carlton, it wasn't Collingwood, it wasn't Essendon, it wasn't Fremantle, it wasn't Geelong, it wasn't Hawthorn. It wasn't North Melbourne or Port Adelaide or Richmond or St Kilda or Sydney or GWS or West Coast or Western Bulldogs. Now, that's all 18 teams. So I have given the answer. That's all alphabetical apart from GWS, and I didn't say Gold Coast. Victory, I'll say it was Geelong.
That is incorrect. It was actually North Melbourne.
Or
19 goals, 119.
Is that against Adelaide?
Mid-year.
Yeah.
Congratulations to Cooper McGill. I used to look after Cooper at after school care, and Cooper's jumped on there. And good on you, Cooper, going into grade 10 next year. Well done, Coops.
Good on you, Coops. Good luck with your future there, pal. All right. Now, name one. Question number 3. Name one of the teams that was involved in the most or the highest attended match in 2020.
Victory.
G'day, Nick.
Port Adelaide.
Damn.
Incorrect.
Suns.
Did you say incorrect?
I did say incorrect. Yeah.
Suns.
Yes,
Suns.
Nathan. Where are you looking?
West Coast.
That is correct. Yes.
Yeah.
It was the West Coast Collingwood elimination final. 32,865 people.
There was more people there than the grand finals, only 29,000. Is that a bonus point for me?
Nope. Next question.
All right. Okay, this is a bit of a quirky one.
Oh,
But the highest finisher in the Coleman medal that did not play in a finals team.
Suns.
Nathan.
Alex Sexton.
Sorry, sexy. No, that's incorrect. That's incorrect. You're very loyal.
Yeah. Just giving him a shout out.
God. Okay, because Nathan jumped in early there. Can you give me the team?
Nope.
Was one of the teams you named it before.
Oh, okay, Shane.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, sounds better.
I've got a video. Can I show you a video of who it was?
No, there's no audio visual working tonight, unfortunately.
Okay, I'm gonna have to hazard a guess, and I'm gonna tell you that it was a Carlton player.
No.
Okay, well, just tell me.
Jack Gunston.
I thought it was Stephen
Very
Kernahan.
bait, Jackie Gunston.
So it definitely wasn't Stephen Kernahan. Oh.
No, it wasn't Sticks, and it wasn't Kilda.
Jack
Okay.
Gunston, Collingwood full forward next year. Good.
All right. Now, fifth question. The highest average attendance for all the clubs across the AFL, which does exclude the closed-door matches.
The average.
Highest average.
Average attendance per home game for those teams that were attended by supporters.
What? Can you say that again for me?
Victory.
Nick.
It's Port Adelaide.
It's incorrect.
No.
So can you repeat the question, please? Because
The
I've
highest
missed
average attendance.
from a home side.
Which club had the highest average attendance, Nathan?
Yeah.
So it's either going to be West Coast, Fremantle,
West
Port
Coast.
Adelaide, or Adelaide,
West Coast.
or Gold Coast.
It's Fremantle.
All right. There you go.
Well,
I like that.
we
How
did say they
much?
were good to watch. We said they were good to watch this year, Fremantle.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah,
people
my 8 next year.
Good. They also lived in a state where people actually could live, eat, and breathe.
Oh shit! There you go.
Very true. Very true.
Shout out to Nick's called the Kazakhstan leader, but there you go.
Congratulations,
Shano,
Nathan. Looks like a winner.
I think
you might have
is
won
that one? Did I win off 1 point?
Yep, that's fine.
Fantastic.
Yep.
Well done, Nathan. We're getting heckled by people who are actually listening to us, which is
I
quite.
know.
What's happening here? Why don't listen?
Josh Menz is
next
just
couple of days when it feeds through 56K modems over in the great subcontinent. But
and
anyway.
shout out to our Indian friends. But Shane, mate, the footy's done and dusted. What's going with cricket? Not starting. What's doing? You said something.
Well, the schedule that we talked about last week is being turned on its head because that's what Cricket Australia do.
Yeah.
Because the entirety of the the international cricket board, I should say.
Oh,
Party time. So the first test will be in Adelaide. Second will be the Boxing Day test. Third will be Sydney. And the fourth, in mid-January, will be at the Gabba. So the day-night test to kick off proceedings in Adelaide. Very interesting.
yeah, right. Anyway, you boys, when's the last time you've been to Adelaide?
Well, yes. Never thought you'd ask, Nathan. I was in Adelaide in 2019, 2018, one or the other. I'm not sure, but I was there. And Adelaide Oval, magnificent venue. I'd almost want to host the 2020 grand final there.
Oh shit! Well, there's an opportunity for the AFL to jump onto that one. Any of you boys catch old Yay or Kanye West on Joe Rogan?
No, I yes, I did hear some of his work there. It's very conspiracy theory. The death of all superstars has been murder, and he's not all there, Kanye, is he?
I think he's a complicated individual. I think he can't. Let me rephrase that. I don't think he processes things the same as everyone else. I think it's literally all at once. His brain doesn't sift things out. Maybe it's his reticular activated system or whatever they call the RAS, but it's all kind of muddled. And so he struggles communicating things out in a linear way that we're all used to communicating. So we just kind of throws out this and that and that and that. And then at the end of 10 minutes, he ties it all together. And if you can hold your attention for 12 and a half minutes, you go, oh, fuck, that's a good point. But most people can't. It's struggle. He's got some interesting points and a lot of it that I align with. But as I said, as far as getting the top offer. So that being said, old Joe Boy at the end there did a screen share on how you can vote for Kanye this year. So a lot of people watch Joe Rogan, a lot more than us. So that would be interesting to... Stranger things have happened.
But they're American. I'm sure if we were American, we have a lot more people watching this.
Man.
Yeah. Because
there's an idea.
We wear goggles in case someone sprayed champagne in our face or like. But what you described there, Nathan, you described it beautifully. But the way Kanye described it was he said that his ideas and thoughts. He said his ideas and thoughts are like a symphony. A symphony.
All right, thanks, Bubba.
Yeah. Oh, Shane. Jeez.
Bubba going up?
Not in 2020, mate. All right.
We'll see. We'll edit that in.
I might move that on. But anyway, you boys keen for the... we're going to go to a Gabba test?
Absolutely. It's January 15 to 19, I believe. Is that correct?
Yes.
Which is
Friday.
Yeah, so it'll be the back end of my holiday period. But I'm excited by it. And I know we mentioned it the other day, Timmy Payne's in form. Timmy Payne will get a full summer, potentially his last. I hope not. I hope he keeps going. But, yeah, it's good to see the Shields on. To cover it all off, here's what we've got to look forward to, boys. The A-League will be back. I believe the NBL is going to be played in regional Victoria. They're going to hub in regional Victoria, which is...
Can you say that again? Because I must have missed that.
The NBL are going to hub in regional Victoria. Now, regional Victoria is actually one of the safest places in the world, to be honest. They're getting 0-0 for a long period of time. Just the Victorian government decided to lock the whole joint down. So, whatever. The A-League, I said the A-League, didn't I? What else have we got? We've got, obviously, the Spring Carnival's on now, and then we go into the Summer Series. But we also want the trade period, which is still a couple of weeks away. So if any of you out there are listening to trade radio, stop, because all it is just people just giving their opinions on or coming up with random fallacies that never eventuate. So don't listen to it until trade week starts, and it happens. And then saying that as well, when trade week starts, don't bother listening to anything until the very last day. That's when the action happens. So there's a lot to look forward to. I just hope that the country gets itself to a point where we can get in a vehicle and move with freedom, particularly over the border. So it's great to hear that you went. And I ask you, Nathan, how did you find the experience trekking over the New South Wales border? Probably more importantly, heading back in.
On the way down, fine, because I had to get up early. So me and Jack could get there and set the tent up, all that kind of stuff, which was, mate, I think we did all right for just two men that don't know what the hell they're doing. But on the way back wasn't too bad, mate. I expected a lot worse. We come back on the Sunday. So I waited, it was probably about 20 minutes on the high, all queued up. But we had 4 of us in the car, only printed 2 of the passes to get through, just made the wrong assumption that 2 kids didn't have to worry about them. So that was a little hairy moment there. I had to go through the second one and have a chat to him. And luckily for me, the missus looked all right. And he looked at her once and let us on through. So she always does, of course. But no, it was fine, mate, to be honest. Top spot, Evans Heads, just quietly. A couple of interesting characters on the adventure. That's another story for behind the scenes. But no, I loved it, mate. I'd go there again.
South of Yamba?
Sure.
It is. No, you can't confirm that. Or Shane can.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair way down, but it's a lovely
No,
place.
I don't know. How far away is Yamba? This is only about 2.5 hours.
No, so Yamba must be further down.
Yamba's about 5, isn't it? Or a bit.
Look, any of our listeners can jump on the open line and let us know where Yamba is in relation to Evans Head.
I would jump on Google Maps, but I just couldn't be asked. But
I hope our listeners who are international can hear the thunder and the lightning in the background at the moment. This is if we do get cut off, we won't try and reconnect. So stay with this for as long as you can. But it is, this is Queensland. Queensland at its absolute best when it's belting down rain, bit of lightning, bit of thunder, or as they say in the classics, lightning and the thunder.
Beautiful. Loved it. 10 points. Before we jump into the short pass, I might just point out, and boys, you'll be on board here, we've got an Up and About podcast Christmas dinner special, not online, in the real life. We're going to catch up. We're going to have some dinner. We're going to have some drinks. So if any of our loyal fans want to get in and amongst the festivities, hit us up in slide into the DMs, and we'll have a night out. But gentlemen, have we missed anything tonight before we jumped in the short pass?
No, it's just a long, hot summer ahead.
Get your aircon sorted.
NBL, regional Victoria. You're sparking my interest there, Nico. I must be honest.
For a road trip?
Yeah. BBL, 23 consecutive days.
We forgot about the BBL. Absolutely.
Yeah. Anyway, there's definitely a road trip coming. There'll be people wanting to flee across the Murray coming up our way, I'm sure. And we might even be able to get into those things that fly in the air.
Drone.
Tin coffins.
Tin coffins.
But look, let's jump into short pass in a moment. I just want to thank every single one of our fans from every single bloody far-fetching country in the world. It's been an absolute blast. This is us sign off for the last time this year. Got a few things to work out in the new year. Maybe we'll have a change of set there, Nico. But just want to thank each and every one of our loyal listeners. We'll see some of you at Christmas. But as we go into the short pass, brought to you by Curtin Trends and the fairness of transparency, they're my folks. So give them a call if you're in Brisbane and Gold Coast. They'll get all your window furnishing needs sorted. Nico, Shane, been an absolute pleasure. Love you both very much. Shane, where do you want to send your short pass?
My short pass is going to be for a very special event that we have here in Australia. It's next Tuesday at about 2:15 our time. And it runs for 3.2 kilometres around a lovely little track we call Flemington. The trifecta in our big event is going to be occupied by the only import. There's going to be no Australian horses in the top three. So Sir Dragonet, Anthony Van Dyke, Prince of Arran, get them all mixed up into a delicious big trifecta. Or if you're going, a first four, and watch the money come into your account.
Love it. Nico, where's your short pass going?
And what a great way to wrap up season 2. To our loyal fans, our listeners, our viewers, this is the brainchild of one man, and he's held the show together. There's only one person that puts together the little package you see on our social media and gets things going swiftly and efficiently and beautifully, and that is our captain, Nathan Barnier. So my short pass is not only to you, Nathan, as the absolute superstar captain of the side. Shane, you've fitted in like a duck to water through this series. It's been a pleasure chewing the fat with you. It's quite often that we talk that often on my way to work in the vehicle, we said if we could bottle some of those conversations and put them to air, who knows who would listen to us. And the 17 people who have listened to this podcast would probably agree. They're good conversations to join in. And obviously to LRF Sport, to Hello Grounds, and to Curtin Trend, we couldn't do this without your backing. But no, boys, I'm looking forward to what's next. I'm hoping that in some way, shape, or form, we'll be back to entertain the Australasian region. And if we haven't already cut off, wow, it's going bang here. But I love you, doggy. Shane, thank you very much, and it's been a pleasure. Thanks.
My short pass, very short and sweet, sentimenting you two gentlemen, to Nick and Shane. And I got a bit lost for words there. You choke me up. But yeah, let's do it all again next year at some point. Ladies and gents, sign off for 2020 Up and About podcast. We'll see you at Christmas.